And this is no time for the divisive politics George Bush has practiced in America. We have to unite our states around a community of goals, unifying vision. I'm running for president because I believe we can stem this tide by restoring respect for America's leadership throughout the world and by changing our priorities.
You know that Joe Biden ran for president back in 2007? Probably not. Only about 80 or so people voted for him. But he did. And did you notice it's the same old junk he's saying now? Doug Wead, noted presidential historian, joins us. Doug, I just found his comments so kind of banal and generic. You know, it just sounded like open a can of politician. You know what I mean?
He's been around a long, long time and made a lot of promises over those years. You know, as I see this whole thing play out, Greg, I have to go all the way outside of presidential politics to make a comparison. And that was 1945 when the British voted out their greatest prime minister, Winston Churchill, and voted in socialists. That's what I hope doesn't happen here in Donald Trump. You just compare him to Biden. There's greatness. He rebuilt NATO. He rebuilt NAFTA into USMCA. He brought 55 hostages home. He destroyed ISIS. Energy independence. 6 presidents, including Reagan, would have cut off their right arm to have energy independence. Got us peace in the Middle East, and today he announced a vaccine for COVID-19.
There have been incredible accomplishments. And you mentioned ISIS. I haven't heard about ISIS in 2 years. I mean, he destroyed ISIS, and people forget at the end of the Obama administration, which gave rise to ISIS. So it is frustrating. I do think one of his problems has been, and it has plagued many presidents, as you know, the swamp, the permanent bureaucracy. President Trump kind of offends them in a unique way for some reason. The permanent civil service class there, and there are some good people, but let's face it, there are plenty of people who think they're more important than these politicos who come and go.
Yeah, when I worked in the White House, I was astonished. I went in a Republican presidency, but everybody was liberal. Everybody in government was ultra-liberal. And I finally realized a conservative doesn't believe that government has the answer to people's problems. A conservative opens a hardware store or a restaurant. It's a liberal that goes to Washington and wants to work on Capitol Hill and wants to work in the agencies because they believe government has the answer to people's problems. So even if you were elected president, Greg, outside of a handful of your closest friends that you could appoint to help you, the vast majority of the people in your administration would be ultra-liberals. Sorry.
Well, we wouldn't get that far. The only people who would vote for me were those friends who I would be giving the jobs to. Doug, what do you think? You know, look, you've been looking at this stuff for a long time. Oh, by the way, real quick, what was your job? I didn't know you worked at the White House.
I was special assistant to the president in the George H.W. Bush White House.
Special assistant to the president. So what'd you do? What was your
I handled coalitions, so law enforcement groups, religious groups, the whole gamut. What he should say, what should be in the speeches, who he should meet, when and why. And by the way, when I wrote Inside Trump's White House, I interviewed Jared Kushner. I heard you talking about him earlier this morning.
Yeah.
You're right. The guy's an absolute genius. I got to follow up on what you said and see if he's involved in that or not. But he is brilliant, I'll tell you. And I found him to be more conservative than I expected. He just wanted the president exposed to the whole gamut of possibilities.
Doug, he's brilliant in some areas, but I'm concerned that he's in a rush to wrap this thing up, that he's gotten his 4 years in D.C. and, all of his friends in the mainstream media are telling him it's over, and I think he's starting to believe it. It's not. The 71 million people who voted for him know it's not over. So I don't know about Jared. I only met him once. I never even met him. I waved to him at a restaurant, and he waved back. That's it. That's as much as I never interviewed him like you. We got to go, Doug Wead. Appreciate it so much, Doug Wead, historian. To be continued, sir. When we come back,
My friends are calling me all the time and writing me and saying, "You've disappeared from television. We can't find you. We don't see you anymore." This is the only way we've been figured out how to beat the censors. If you subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, you'll get notification when I'm on TV. Otherwise, you won't get my Instagrams, my messages on Facebook. It's censorship. So I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to hear from me.